What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over a backtesting session on how I actually have been able to have over a 80% win percentage or win rate in these past 2 weeks, and I'm going to explain to you guys how I did it, how I was able to literally turn from a kind of slow and break even first like 2.5 weeks of April to then now kind of scaling up. As you guys can see, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins to 1 break even and 1 loss. Not counting the break even, I was essentially 5-1, so I think it's like a little over 80%. So with that being said, I'm gonna go over how exactly you can increase your win rate and start taking smarter trades no matter the market conditions, because obviously market conditions obviously haven't been the best with Trump and everything. But going on the charts, this is Wednesday the 22nd. I actually ended up making the most on this certain account on this exact day, and the reason I'm going over this is because it was an A+ setup, and a lot of people who I thought would take the setup never really did take it, end up taking it. So kind of like a trade recap for this trade, this trade, and then whatever I do from here. But yeah, a bunch of free sauce in this video, so make sure you guys watch till the end. Okay, so right here it is market open, and obviously as we can see, when we are even near to all-time highs, you really want to be targeting all-time highs, right? Don't really have to say much more. And we have a good amount of low resistance liquidity. These Asia and London lows are not accurate, by the way. I'm going to actually turn that off. Don't know why they're there. But again, with all-time highs, as always, you really just want to see some type of manipulation into a gap or a sweep of liquidity, has time frame inversion, and then you want to take the continuation or catch the distribution leg. Okay, so on the 5-minute, I don't trade from 8:30 to 8:35 Central Time. I just don't like trading in the first 5 minutes of market open because it is the most volatile. It is not my thing. Okay, so coming in, we sweep this internal low. However, you could make the argument that we have more low resistance liquidity, but I'm really just looking to see how the price reacts and if we have any potential SMTs. Okay, so again, if you sim the next 5 minutes, we see that we form this 5-minute bearish fair value gap right here. If you then go to MES, boom, you could see that we haven't swept this low, creating an SMT from here to here. Okay, now what does this SMT tell us? Well, it tells us that, right, again, there's a divergence, meaning that ES is telling us that NQ is most likely going to be higher, and then we have pretty much relative equal highs, or pretty much equal highs right here and right here, and then we have the 9:30 EST or 8:30 wick right here. So what you can do is, because we have this SMT, you can make the argument, yeah, I guess there's low resistance liquidity here, but if we're going to inverse this gap and have a protected low right here, then there's no reason to not take the setup. Okay, right, as we end up seeing, we kind of close right here. Gotta wait for it to close fully, because right, again, if you didn't wait for this to close fully, you would have got stopped out. However, what do? We now form this high here, so even more liquidity to the upside. Okay, you can see there's not many gaps that we tap into here, especially after inversing this 15-minute BPR in pre-market. Again, right, there's no reason for you to be bearish. Okay, so right, you got to be patient. Kind of close right there. With something like this, you really just want to see, like, if we get like a strong confirmation that we're going to close above it, right? If you were to wait for this 1 minute to get inversed, right, it never really got inversed. So after the 5-minute, the 5-minute closes like this, and as you guys can see, we literally closed on the line of the fair value gap. However, if we closed like this and then this bottom wick was to the upside, I would not like this at all. But if you look at this wick, obviously shows that we have like a lot of sellers who were just not a lot of seller momentum, right? Because we came all the way down here on this candle, closed up, came all the way down here, and still closed bullish on the candle. So what you can target is, I like targeting not the highest draw. Like if we have relative highs like this, I like targeting the second highest draw, because again, it's happened to me so many times where it takes this and it's like a point away, and right, so you take this, whatever, enter on 10 cons, just to show you guys how you would do it like on an actual prop firm. Put your GP here, put your stop loss here. The reason for my stop loss is if you go on a 1 minute time frame, there's a couple places you could put it. You could put it on this protected low that we now swept. So right now you got to look at MES, right? And you're like, well, Mish, didn't you just say that low is protected? Yes. we did sweep it here, but we're still in this SMT. So, right, like we're still in the SMT because we reswept it. And on MES, again, we did sweep this low, but we still haven't swept this other low. So you could put your stop loss on this low right here. However, for the purposes being like this low right here, but again, if I were to do that, my RR would be like 0.5. So what I did instead was put it on this 5-minute candle, because again, just with all the bullish momentum closing stronger, even though we came all the way down here, I'm fine with risking this, going break even, not at this high, but at this market open high. So you can just see what happens. If we go to the 1 minute time frame, sim, beautiful candle, break even there, and we actually do end up hitting my TP. I'll show you guys why exactly I put my TP here. We come and edge it. I would have been break even by this point because we had already swept this high. So if you had your TP here, you still would have been in the trade, you still would have got break even, and then it would have granted you TP. So I know a lot of people who did take it ended up doing that. Like as you guys can see, right, this was the high. How do I zoom in here? But this was the high, and then this was my stop, my TP, which was actually this high right here. It's this other high. That was how I got that winning day. And again, just walking through it, I also have a bunch of trade recaps, literally going over every trade, but this is just all at once. Okay, so going over to the next day, this was the 23rd, where New York session. Okay, so this was a break-even day, I believe, and I actually lost $35 because of slippage. But same thing coming into here. We have all-time highs on the higher time frames. What we see, we're respecting this 1 hour gap right here. We probably have a 4 hour up, 4 hour gap. What do we see? Wicks like this, and this, right? We don't want to go lower, obviously. Again, with all-time highs, there was no reason to be bearish if we are remotely close to all-time highs. Do we have a 1 hour gap here that we tapped into? Yes, but at the same time, 1 hour gap isn't going to make me, 1 hour gap isn't enough to make me flip bearish. Obviously, when we have everything else that's bullish. Looking out, I'm trying to see if we have any SMTs here. I actually do not remember. The way I look is we have this lowest, lower, and then the highest low, if that makes sense to you guys. Lowest, lower, higher. Okay, yeah, so we don't have any SMTs. Do we have any bearish SMTs? Let's see. No. Okay, so, right, we don't have any bearish SMTs. And here, when you see is we're retracing into this 15-minute gap. We're still respecting this gap right here. And then, again, trying to sim the first 5 minutes. Do not want to be trading in the first 5 minutes. Okay, what do we do? Do we have any SMT right here, right? Always need to be checking with SMTs. Okay, lowest, lower, highest. Okay, go back to M&Q. Lowest, lower. Okay, this is our SMT. Beautiful. All right, this is our SMT. Again, same principle. Yes, we have low resistance liquidity, but if we're going to inverse the gap to the upside now, I'm going to be confident because we have placed in that SMT. This is a protected low, theoretically. Okay, so again, you could look for the highest time frame inversion, 5 minute here, and then you could go break even at this high, which is inside of a fair value gap, and then you could go right. This is all theoretically. If we inverse this, you could take off a limit here and then have your full TP at all-time highs. Okay, I actually believe this was the Asia highs right here. But what do we end up seeing? Okay, we close right here, and you can try to not take this trade because we swept this right here. But if we're going to close this strongly, I think I did end up taking this right here. Stop loss at the body. This was going to be my break even then, and then TP all-time highs. 2.16 RR. We end up simming. We come in, we sweep Asia. We're now break even. Nice little retrace. Actually, yep. Now we want to just see price continue to all-time highs. Unfortunate, we get stopped out break even. Okay, so that's what I'm saying with April price action. It's not the best. Like if this was a regular day, we're probably going to continue to all-time highs and take out that drawn liquidity because there's nothing else for us to retrace into here. Again, whole principle is even though we have this bearish gap right here, we could see, I believe this was a data wick. I actually think Trump spoke that day. Yeah, I think this was, this is Trump spoke. Yeah. So this was a data low. And you could say, well, why aren't you taking the data low? The data low is more powerful than all-time highs, which is just like not even a session high. It's like just a PM AM high or PM session high. But again, it's all-time highs. All-time highs are pretty much one of the strongest draws in liquidity, and with everything else pointing us bullish, right? We're in this uptrend. There's no reason to be looking for shorts to a data low, okay, respectively. Again, with the inversion, we could see that MES, right? You could have, again, same thing as last time. You could have put your stop loss here, but the way of getting better RR is just putting my stop loss either on the body, or if I'm really confident, putting it just on the gap that we inversed, putting it right here, and that still would have hit. But again, I just like taking that extra confirmation, putting it on the body. What do? We tap in. We literally tap the consequent encroachment of this inverse fair value gap, and then we shoot up, taking out my break even. So again, very, very, very decent. Not bad at all. Actually got break even, so yeah, lost. But that's a good trade setup, right? Going on to the next day, the 27th. And the reason I actually didn't trade Friday, I do not trade Fridays. I stopped trading Fridays, and it is actually one of the best things I've done. As you guys can see, neither of these days have I traded. And then this was in May, but neither of these days have I traded, simply because it just not, like, I would have lost this day if I traded. I'm not going to go over the setup, but just know that there was a long setup I would have lost on. That was an A+ setup, right? That's why I avoid those mistakes and then don't trade Friday. Okay. So, again, what do we see? This one's kind of tough because we have all-time highs here, but we're kind of respecting this 1 hour gap. Well, 1 hour gap is going to make me be, is that going to make me be bearish? No, but we did kind of tap into the BPR, and now we're forming this downtrend, and we just swept this low, and we're not really getting a reaction. So now you want to go over to MES and see how MES is behaving. What do we see? Same thing. However, we haven't swept this low right here. We haven't. We're still above this low, whereas on NQ, we've taken it. Okay, so now, again, you could say that this low is protected, but it's only protected if we see some type of inversion or some type of, confirmation that we're trending higher. Okay, so right at open, what do we see? Some 5 minutes of open, we take the low. This low is no longer nothing to us because, again, we broke through it. So now we kind of just got to sit here and wait. Like, this is another low that we could target. Let's just see what happens. Nothing, okay? Kind of tough. Now we take this low. This is our liquidity sweep, okay? So now, again, we want to see if we tap into there, because we also tap into a unfilled 1 hour and come back into the 4 hour, but that we already retraced into. But again, right, we have the unfilled 1 hour. If you use the fib, don't really use the fib that much, but you guys can see that we took out the 0.5. Then what do we take? We actually have an unfilled 30-minute right here, so we could easily be taking longs to this unfilled 30-minute and Asia all-time highs, which was, I believe, Asia highs. Yep. So coming in, now we're looking for the highest time frame inversion. Do we have an SMT at this low? Let me check. MES, no, because this was the low I was looking at. Yep. So we do actually have an SMT. We do have an SMT right here. Go to NQ. Beautiful. We sweep the low. Now we want to see some type of reaction off of this SMT. As you guys have been noticing, there's a lot of SMTs recently, so you really need to be careful with that, okay? So I don't think we formed a 3 minute or a 5 minute, so we probably formed a 3 or a 2 minute or a 1 minute or something like that. So now we just got to be patient. What do we see? Any 2 minute? No, nothing. No 3 minute, okay? Be patient. We resweep it, okay? We resweep it, but why am I okay with this resweep? Because we never inversed a gap, right? Never inversed a gap. Now, but as long as we're still in this SMT, if we're looking for the highest time frame inversion, we still are in the SMT, right? We still haven't swept it. Move this down here. Okay, what do we see? We have this 1 minute. If we inverse this 1 minute, I'd like to see this. I'd like to see a little more confirmation, and the reason is because I'll show you why. But you could make the argument that if we're going to dump this much right at open, you really don't want to take the first inversion out of it, but you want to see more like confirmation. Okay, so I believe we do inverse this, right? We inverse it right here, and then I like this more. Why? Because of this internal range. You could go off of this high to this low. We close above the 50% right here. I take my long right here, and then this is the time where I put my stop loss, not on this low. I put it on this fair value gap because if my reasoning is if we're going to, yes, this is a protected low, but if we're going to come back and then inverse this fair value gap, then we're most likely going to shoot down, right? Put it there, target this 30-minute gap unfilled. This is going to be my break even, and then this is going to be my full TP, 3RR setup. Let me actually, okay. We also have this high right here that you could take like a partial limit order on, right? What do we see? Ends up failing. Why does it end up failing? Kind of tough, but right, what happens after that? Do we come and take the 30-minute gap? No. Are we gonna come and sweep the low? Let's see. No, we actually don't sweep the low. So yes, you could have said, well, you would have been better off if you were in this, but again, do you really want to be in a trade that takes you from 8:50 to over 2 p.m.? Like, this is gonna take the whole day. That's what I'm saying. Like, if we're not gonna shoot up right away off of this gap, then I don't want to be in the trade because I don't want to hold the trade during PM. Like, most likely that is not just gonna play out. And again, it could, like in this case, it could play out to all-time highs, but by now it is already well into Asia session, and then we don't see that delivery that we are looking for. So, am I bleeding? What is going on? No, I'm chill. All right, yeah. So, after that. Okay, after that, that was this day right here. But again, good loss. I'm fine with that loss because it is proven to win. Day after that, we get our get back. All right, you feel me? So start off Monday slow. Not ideal, but what do we see here? We are no longer at all-time highs. We are no longer at all-time highs. Do we have a SMT, right? We never even came to visit those all-time highs. You can check if we have an SMT. We do have an SMT actually because we have this SMT from these highs to those highs on ES, right? If I were to go into this, we have, let me change this to NQ, right? You can see from this high, this is the same high. We never resweep it. So this is going to be our bearish SMT. And because we are no longer at all-time highs, like it is, I believe, I guess we're like over 400, 500 points away from all-time highs. Don't really want to be taking a 500-point trade. You know what I mean? So coming into the day, again, you could make the argument that we inverse this 30-minute. However, we have a 30-minute above right here. And on ES, same thing, right? We never swept that data low, I believe. I believe that's the data low. No, actually, it's not the data low. Whereas we look right here, what do we see? We saw and swept it. So we're still in good condition, okay? We're still in good condition. We're not, there's no reason to be very bullish right here because, again, we're not at all-time highs. Okay, what do we see? 1 hour gap that we just tap into. We're going to sim the first 5 minutes. Okay, we're kind of reversing off of these gaps, but am I bullish here? No, I'm not bullish. So don't really want to take anything to the upside. You have this 5-minute inversion. However, the reason I didn't like this was because, again, when you open up bullish, you want to just see some extra confirmation. So if we can see another like good Drake size candle to the downside, then I would be looking to take shorts. But as you guys can see, that didn't happen. I then wanted to see the highest time frame inversion to just gain some type of confirmation, and that ended up being this BPR gap right here, this low right here. Boom. Okay, then we have very good, this was the open, so we have this 1 minute unfilled right here. This could be a break even, and then we have this low right here, which I believe was like London low. No, this was pre-market low. Never mind. Yeah, this was pre-market. Okay, so simming this out, do we inverse? Then we inverse. Boom, right here. You can take your setup right here. Again, when you take your setup, you can either put it on like the gap right here, but because we delivered with kind of slow, like we didn't deliver with like a good like momentum candle, I guess this 1 minute is, but we're not like it took us what 907 to 9. It took us almost 21-minute candles to just deliver an inverse 1 minute gap. So in that case, I put my stop loss right here because this low I didn't really like. I like this low more because, again, you could say that if we're going to sweep this low, we're most likely going to sweep these lows, and then this high, I don't want to put my stop loss all the way up at this high because then my RR is going to be skewed. And then after that, right, there's no real place. You don't want to be having this tight of a RR, especially when the moves aren't delivering like that. Okay, so put my stop loss here. Break even was at this gap, so this was my break even. Boom, and then my TP was at this low. Okay, now we hold through. Let's just say you sell 10, stop loss here, TP here. Now we play this out. Boom, we take the gap. Now we're going break even. We're edging the TP. What's gonna happen? Do we inverse it? No, so close. But right, we make this high, move the stop loss. How do I move my? Okay, move my stop loss right here. Now we want to see this play out. Boom, beautiful. Again, following my rules. As you guys can see, if you put your stop loss right here, you would have got stopped out, and the reason for that is because we're not delivering with momentum. So that's the whole purpose of it. Again, set this to the Discord if you guys want to join the free Discord. Link is in the bio. That's all I gotta say. After that, what can happen? After that, that was these 2 days right here, and these 2 days were pretty much just the same thing as this. I don't really want to go over them. I feel like this is enough content. Not even that I don't want to go over them, but I feel like you guys get the point already. It's always like, this is literally my strategy. It's so simple. Like I feel like it's pretty easy, especially if you understand ICT and if you understand everything else. So I'm not trying to LARP 2 weeks of my P&L. I'm just trying to prove to you guys that it is possible, even in bad price action, of how you can make it. Okay. Again, for these, you could have put your stop loss here. Like I said, I like putting my stop loss on the higher if you're shorting, lower if you're longing. Stop, like, okay, if we have relative lows, I'm gonna put it on the one that makes me less money, because again, we could take it and then come back up. But in this case, they weren't really equal, and I just like the strong liquidity more. Ended up playing out 1.8 RR, and that's how we do it. No, that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys actually did stay till the end, comment BG, and I'll like your comment or something. I don't even know. Comment BG if you watch 22 minutes of me yapping and are still continuing to watch. Appreciate y'all so much. Thank you. Like and subscribe. And yeah, code mish.alpha. Peace out.